Hello, Kirby1 here. Welcome to Basil is Not Ideal, Part 5, the TNG War, in which I play pretty small part, but luckily for you guys, we all have front row seats to the action. Yes, indeed, I cast Eyes of God, and now we get to see everything. Lag the heck out. So, let's start off by breaking the map down into its component parts. This is me, right here. I'm about to take Xibalba, starting off the war with TNG, because I was grumps that he took it. I go all the way into this pond and this little isthmus here. Baratos, to my north, is actually smaller than me, and only about twice as big as Hinam, and I say that, but Hinam is tiny. Like, this is Hinam. That's all he is. This little strip of land there. Helheim over here, we actually saw a little bit of what was going on with him all game. He has taken Agartha, so he's got 2 caps, but he's kind of constrained in up against Lanka on the side here. And he's also kickstarted the war, because this used to be a TNG province, and so he's just going straight for it. And I think this used to be as well. He's just cutting right into TNG, and that's probably why TNG has moved this army back, also to take the last of Xibalba's forts, but probably just to fight Helheim. Fomoria, up here, I never really interacted with him all game. He's sort of okay size. He's got this little pond as well. But he and Baratos were apparently right around here, just sort of Cold War eyeballing each other with 2 huge doom stacks for quite a long time. Pangaea up here has taken pretty much a lot of the land that Hinam probably would have gotten if he hadn't gotten into his early war with me. So he's pretty big, right about here. But I don't know who all he's been at war with. After he took my Mother Oak earlier in the game, I have no idea what he's been up to all game, other than sit there and get fat. Niflheim is crushed right here. He's got only a handful of provinces left, but he is still fighting. Every so often we hear reports of him having his Jarls Raffle Stomp a couple TNG armies, but for the most part he has been actually really beaten down into the dirt, and part of that is due to TNG. As you can see, he's got a whole lot of lands around here, but part of that is also due to Lanka. Speaking of Lanka, Lanka is also pretty massive. He's just gotten his toes into all these ponds here, and he's taken all the way up to Miklan's capital, so he also has 2 caps. And a lot of blood gems from that too. Or not blood gems, blood slaves from that. So he is also really big. And he has actually also been fighting Niflheim. However, what this war entailed was Lanka approached a number of people suggesting that TNG was getting really big and being really aggressive. And Helheim was receptive to that, and I was receptive to that because TNG had taken lands that both of us had actually wanted and considered rightfully ours based on the wars we were having. TNG just sort of came in and gobbled up all of this land from Xibalba, which I would have wanted, and all of this land from Agartha that Helheim would have wanted. So both of us were like, yeah, we'll get in on a war with TNG. And then Niflheim, he actually reached out to Niflheim and said, hey, I'll let Lanka stop attacking you if you join in on a war against TNG. And that can be sort of like our peace treaty truce thing. So the war against TNG involved TNG fighting Helheim, Lanka, Niflheim, and me. All against TNG, because we considered him to be very big. Fomoria did nothing, Baratos did nothing, and Pangaea did nothing, and Hinam, he sort of helped out a little bit too. He'll wind up taking this little area, but both Hinnom and I were sort of constrained because we have like one little avenue of attack, which is just this way and this way. And then that's about it, because Helheim guts right into the middle of it, and Lanka up this from the south, and Niflheim also drives straight for Tianqi's capital. We'll see that over the course of this video as I go through the war turn by turn. But first, let's get into score graphs. Everybody loves them score graphs. I've already cut out the people who are dead, and we'll start with provinces. Now, in terms of provinces, Tianqi is the largest, but he recently took a couple of hits to provinces that were sort of blitzed from him in the first turn or two of the war. Pangaea is third place, and Lanka is actually second, right up here. And I am not doing so bad for myself. Did not think I was that big, comparatively speaking. For forts, Tianqi and Lanka are second place, and Pangaea is actually first. And I'm third, fourth. So not bad. Income, Pangaea, I'm pretty sure Pangaea has growth scales, and nobody's been attacking him. So he's just sitting there with a big fat bag of gold right here at top place. And he was closely followed by Tianqi until we started ganging up on him. Everyone else is sort of in the middle, but Baratos is actually pretty high up there for the smallish amount of territory he's got. For gem income, this was really why everyone was worried about Tianqi, because his strategy involved gathering as much land as he could, site searching like crazy, and then summoning massive armies of just everything that he could with gems. So he had a lot of gem income, and that was what we were worried about, and it turned out to be true. That's what he had. Pangaea is next, and Lanka is third. This is the area where our Mother Oak title switched. For research, I am crushing it. I am the best at research and have been this whole game, just dominating everyone else. And that will continue for, again, the whole game. With Sages and Magic 3, yeah, nobody's going to compete with that. For Dominion, I'm actually also doing pretty well. Second place, closely following Lanka. Pretty surprising about that, but good for me. And Pangaea is third. Army size, Tianqi is actually sort of middle of the pack, high-end middle of the pack. I am not so hot. Everyone else is sort of around the middle here, except for Lanka, who is just dominating with blood summons. We'll probably discover what that is, what that entails later on, though it could also be skeletons. I'm not sure if that's really the case, because Lanka's not as good at summoning skeletons anymore. But I'm pretty sure this is mostly demons at this point. And then for Thrones of Ascension, I am second. Lanka is actually first, and I'm second because I actually have some pretty good thrones. I have 2 level 2 thrones, and then I think I get access to another level 1 throne at some point in the game, but I'm not sure. Anyways, so that's the state of the world at the beginning of the war. Let's get into a turn-by-turn play of how the war progresses. So right now this is the front against Helheim, the front against Lanka. Niflheim is breaking out, and I'm driving this way with sort of backup from Hinnom. This is a part of the world that we'll be really looking at for a long time, because not much else happens anywhere else that I can tell. Helheim continues to drive southward, isolating this fort. I broke the fort at Zibala. I also do a lot of summons as well, and a lot of trades with my allies in this war. Lanka has not really pushed that far north, but he is going to start scooping up a couple of these provinces here. And Niflheim, I think he took a province. Really, Helheim is the one making the most gains, which is not particularly surprising because he's one of the most mobile of our group. Getting a Siddha, no new magic sites, and we're gonna have a whatchamacallit, arena battle. I did not read the rules for the arena battle really well, but apparently everyone's gonna have a slave collar, so that kind of screwed me over because I sent somebody to compete and he died. Oh well. So yeah, I took the fort, no problem, easy peasy. Only lost a handful of guys. He had nobody of significance there. Hinnom has taken these two provinces relatively swiftly with large armies of undead. So I have to take this province if I'm going to contribute anything into this war other than taking Xibalba, because otherwise I can't really break out into Tianqi proper. Lanka takes these two in rapid succession. No new advances from Helheim quite yet. He might be on top of this fort, but no, I don't think so. It would show me if there was a guy on top of that fort. And again, Lanka has not really made many gains. Niflheim, though, is pushing strong. He's going straight for Tianqi's capital, and he's right here right now. It's still winter, so he can take advantage of the cold all across the world, but Tianqi actually has heat scale 3 because he dumped his scales into the crazy bless that he has. Does he have... I don't think he was able to bless these guys, but let's take a look. And then we can double check on his bless, because his bless, I think, was... Okay, there it is. I think it was, yeah, ethereal, and then a bunch of these passive blesses. Now, I heard that his god was actually killed over the course of this war. I guess it was actually this early. I did not remember that being the case, but it would seem that's the case because he definitely trashed his scales in order to get A, high research, and get massive summons with the gems that he finds, and then also expand with that ethereal bless. So he's lost a pretty significant advantage with that, aside from the fact that he's being invaded by 4 people. I think that was 46. Nope, my bad. Alright, so here's the arena battle. Fomorian King roams up and stabs me while I'm standing there trying to cast spells with a slave collar on. And then he goes ahead and stabs Nifljarl too. So he gets Sword of Argilmer. Good for him. Hinnom does not go for that province that I attack, so that's good. I can break out and move to other places. Let's see where I am now. Okay, I'm in Xibalba because I want to spread my dominion, and there's nobody really to contest me there, so he's pretty safe outside of my own dominion, and this will spread my own dominion like wildfire. So I'm going to build a temple there, destroy Xibalba's dominion, and replace it with my own, because I like having big dominion. Looks like there was a battle raiding from Helheim here. Did not work out so well. And I am going to take the last remnants of Xibalba and crush it into dust. And this will probably be the extent of my expansion, because there is not really a whole lot left for me to do unless I want to step on Helheim's toes. Lanka is actually the one who gets this first. I don't know if they talked over that or not, but, well, did not realize that. So there you go. Helheim has been pushing still, but I think the gains are a little bit slower, but there is no real pushback in terms of regaining territory from Tianqi. I'm sure massive battles are being fought here, and casualties are horrendous on all sides, but I'm not able to see that unless it's in my dominion. Another reason to expand my dominion, because my dominion is awesome now. And still, Lanka is not really making a whole lot of northern expansion gains in that direction. This unfortunately seemed to have been lost by Niflheim to Indies, but he's making slow progress. He's going to go up and around and then down and then cut Tianqi off at the head here and lock down his cap while Tianqi's armies are elsewhere, probably fighting mostly Helheim, but I'm guessing there has to be fighting over here to some extent. I just don't know what's going on in terms of territory gain. Gift of Health also went up at some point for Lanka. I don't know if that was over the course of these videos and I just missed it because I've been breezing through these turns. So now we'll go on to 49. Not a whole lot, but I got the Zabalban fort and the entrance is breached, so we're going to go right in. And I'm bringing in more people from here as well. Still, okay, this was taken by Helheim right here with the Svartalvs. Obviously, there is an army here as well. I just can't see it because they're all glamorous. And there's some expansion from Lanka in the north. So he is pushing now, probably pretty hard with some pretty substantial armies. Again, I'm guessing of demons. Niflheim is here, again, being followed by a trail of Indie destruction in his wake. But alright then. There's not been a whole lot of push on this side for Niflheim, but he's probably recruiting another force of giants in order to push out. But Niflheim taking these, even though he doesn't actually keep them because Indies take them right after, it does deny Tianqi land and income. So slowly but surely, Tianqi is just dying. And there's not really a whole lot that he's able to do to stop that over the course of just the rest of the game. Now I'm still researching, of course. Now we've got Eternal Pyre, and I take the fortress with no problem and completely vanquish Zabalba. He lasted until turn 50. Congratulations. Or, well, I guess turn 49. And Helheim drops on top of another one of Tianqi's forts. I am sending scouts in as well to sort of see what I can see, like in actual real time, watch the battles as they're happening, but they're a little slow to move there. I also want to get a scout on top of Tianqi to watch the siege with the Nifl giants. Lanka is delaying a second advance into these forts. There might be a big army or two here. And he's moving this way, actually, in order to take these provinces. Apparently he doesn't like Niflheim that much. And my next target is this province, and then that's pretty much it. That's all I can take until, well, I can get underwater and get this. But yeah, that's all there is to it. And then I'll probably go and take these indie provinces too. But actually, Niflheim comes back and says, hey, actually, can I use those because that's my route into Tianqi? He has to go this way and this way because of this river crossing, which is not going to be frozen over because of Tianqi's dominion. Still, he's got Tianqi, despite all of the massive invasion, has had a safe border with Fimoria and Pangaea because they were not receptive to getting in on this conquering and chomping. 51. No problems with the province defense. The Ichthyeids I've got along so that I can take that pond later. And haven't broken it in one turn, so there's that. But in the meantime, I did get Conjuration 8, and I'm doing a gem dump right here. Queen of Elemental Water, King of Elemental Earth, Fairy Court. All of my gems are just going into all of this mass of summons in one turn. And I can do that because my research is ridiculous, and I have actually quite a lot of land now to be drawing gems from. Plus, I've been doing my fair share of trading for whatever I think I need at the time. A lot of astral income came from Lanka earlier on in order to help put up Eyes of God. I switched that over to nature and earth for whoever would be willing to give them to me. Nature for more of my power mages, the Yakshini and Yakshas, and then earth so that I could get that King of Elemental Earth over here. Because with Earth Boots, this guy just becomes Earth 5 and just like, hey, I can summon a King of Elemental Earth myself. So yeah, I get this one. He's alright. He's super combatant-ish, I guess. But I think the Earth Gem summoning one would have been probably better for me. I just have him on summoning allies. I don't really have a use for him. I just want him in part to deny him to other people. And this was actually kind of a dumb place for me to put my laboratory, but I was in sort of a rush to get Queens of Elemental Water, that there's nothing I can actually recruit here with a lab. Here I can get Ichthyid Shamans, but I don't need them. You know, in terms of research, I don't need them, and water with a 10% of nature is kind of useless to me, so I dropped this right before the turn when I was going to do this massive gem dump to summon her, and I didn't really want this one either. Queen of the Deeps. I would have rather had Queen of the Lake because she is amphibious or aquatic, and so I needed to give her a robe of the sea in order to get her out of the water, but even then she loses her 90% regeneration, which is kind of sad. But I don't need to do fighting in the water. I need to do fighting on the land, so I'm going to send her over here and have her help out with things in that area if I ever need it. Helheim is still breaking this fort, and Lanka has double expanded onto these forts. So his armies are definitely making a go for it. And I guess they negotiated finally to get Niflheim to have this province instead of Lanka. So there's that. That's the border on this end. And Lanka is slowly but surely pushing, much slower than Helheim has. Helheim has taken all of this province. That's 2, 4, 6, 8 compared to the 2 in the north, the 2 in the south, and this one. So 8 to 5 provinces. And Helheim has access to all of this area as well, while Lanka has this area pretty much. So I guess we'll see how it plays out, but Helheim was much faster at taking advantage of this war than Lanka was. Sorry, that was turn 51. Okay. We're only going to go to 57 because that is the next phase of the game. I also get a Devata, and Devatas are my special summons. They're basically Siddhas without teleport and armor, and trade a astral path for an air path. And way better combat stats. So, and +1 extra ambidextrous as well. And I think a little bit of awe, but yeah, these guys are mini super combatants. I don't want to say thugs. They're basically thugs by themselves. You don't give them any equipment, and they are thugs themselves. They can cast Body Ethereal, Mirror Image, Mist Form, Bless themselves, and depending on the bless you have, that's better than Thug. That's better than Thug with no gear. You give them equipment, they have 4 arm slots. 4. And with ambidextrous, they can have 5 lengths worth of items. Spear, axe, sword, and a shield. And then awesome armor. The only downside is they only have 1 miscellaneous slot. So these guys are truly insane. My bless in particular gives them berserking, so it doesn't really work again because all of the stats you give them increase their defense and not inability to be hit. So yeah, I'm not so sure about the berserking bless, but they're still really fun to play with, and can just sort of crush small armies and large PD by themselves. I just wanted to have one, really. At this point in the game, I'm not sure what my next strategy is. I know that Lanka is my next greatest threat. I'm searching like crazy with my 2 Siddhas and my Fairy Court, and he's just going to sort of sit around until I know what to do with him. I haven't sort of transitioned into super combatant thug builds yet, so I don't have a whole lot to work with there. Now I've got a scout on here, so we'll see how that battle winds up working out. Helheim has taken this and completely taken the fort. Lanka has taken this fort, not quite this fort yet, the one with the throne. And I am going to take this throne myself next. Onwards to 53. And there was a battle in Tianqi. He just sort of pinging it unsuccessfully. And I take the fort with no problems. And let's see now. Okay, Helheim is sort of consolidating his forces, no new gains. Lanka has moved here. And I think he took this water province, or he might have already had it. Alright, fire in underwater. 54. Doing a lot of site searching, and I've started getting blood slaves out of Zavalba. It was sort of a little fun, ironic thing for me to do. I'll show you how I'm doing that. Just scout. And let's see. Oh yeah, I claimed the Throne of Stability over here. So over near Zabalba up here, I think I showed you last time that there was the Garnet Sorceresses. So I've been recruiting them like crazy. Well, okay, not like crazy. I will be recruiting them like crazy. And I've started blood hunting just to get blood economy up. But honestly, I'm actually selling my blood slaves. I don't want them or need them. So I'm selling them to Niflheim for things that I actually want, which is probably just gems. I'm like dumping all of my gems into summons and getting a crap load of stuff. So yeah, Niflheim took that province back, and he's going to get more people here to help out with the siege of Tianqi. Nobody is really contesting him over that. 55. Yep, Astral. That's really what I want. 10 blood for, 20 blood for 10 Astral. Get more Gandharvas, my favorite units. And this was a pretty important battle in Tianqi. And I was looking at it, I was like, it's probably Horde of Skeletons. Not exactly, because these guys are all Death 1, so it's only summon skeletons, but it winds up being enough. Part of that is because what we're seeing now is Niflheim in heat. Sort of pun intended, but he loses all his ice protection. He loses a bunch of attack and defense modifiers, and is susceptible to fire, which is not really going to be a problem against death mages, but still, Skelly Spam not going to do so hot. And then there's Ghost Grip, and basically he gets stuck among the skeletons and Ghost Gripped all game. And without his massive protection from the cold, he takes too much damage and gets killed. So that is sad. Sad for him. I get another King of Elemental Earth. So that's both of them. And there's the one with the gem generating. Don't really have many uses for him either, but I'm actually going only to turn 55. Sorry about that, guys. Yeah, I basically consider the war against TNG over at this point, even though TNG did break the siege on his capital. He has 4 provinces left, and no real ability to come back from anything of the sort. There is a second army of Niflheim right on his front door right here, who is moving in from there. So I had no more to contribute to this war. So I'm on to bigger and better things. And my next target is Hinnom. So part 6 will be the second war with Hinnom. And that one was a pretty big one. But I'm a little out of place at the moment. So I'm going to have to move a large army from this end all the way over here. He's got a large stack of guys in Hinnom, and he's got a bunch of undead in these 2 forts as well. So in the meantime, I'll just cripple his economy by hitting him in as many provinces as I can. Starting off with this guy, Herald Lance for extra damage against the undead. Elfbane, not really going to come in particularly handy against anything that Hinnom is going to be fielding, I don't think. Bind Shield, pretty standard. Faithful for affliction, resistance, and luck. Headdress for a little bit extra chaff. And Chainmail of Displacement for getting them up to 26 defense. He's already size 3, so these are actually giant strength, not trampling boots. And then regeneration, because I don't have a regeneration bless. So if he ever does get hit, now he'll regenerate. But he only really has like less than 30 hit points, so you really just don't want him to get hit. And that's going to be pretty easy to not get hit. Blessing, Body Ethereal, Mistform, Mirror Image, and Astral Shield. I should probably move Astral Shield up, but yeah. And then he's got 5 Gandharvas for bodyguards, which is actually not as good for him, because overall, this stack of HP, this is the majority of the HP. Like if he had like 60 hit points and lost his bodyguards, it wouldn't be an issue. But if he loses all his bodyguards, he will probably actually rout, because that will be over 70% of the army dead. So not as good of an idea to do that. Maybe give him like 1 bodyguard or something like that. Then they'll actually both get blessed. I should stop talking about that, but let's take a look again at the score graphs. Ascension points, both Lanka and I have gone up, and we're neck and neck now. Let's look at them provinces. TNG is done. Just done. Completely wrecked. And who came out on top with that? Really Lanka. Lanka is still pretty high up there. For forts, again, Lanka number 1. Income, still Pangea actually, and Lanka is so-so. But yeah, TNG dead. Gem income, TNG dead. And Lanka's pushing up again. Research, still crushing it. Dominion, I'm actually cutting up really high here, because of all the lands that I took, and I managed to convert it really, really quickly. By teleporting my god there, I just wiped out Xibalba's dominion, and it became all mine. Army size. Yeah, that's Lanka. So yeah, I think we all know who the real next target is, but Hinnom is small. I think I can take him pretty quickly. Famous last words. But let's see how I do against Hinnom Part 2 in the next episode. Thank you all for watching. Have a good night.